We're good. I don't know why that notification didn't go through, but I guess it's a different problem to figure out for a different day. Well, welcome. We are doing part 2 of the communication lecture, the COM 100 lecture. So, let's begin. First, we'll start with the question of the day, and it's okay if no one wants to answer it. That's totally cool. Question of the day, though, is if you lived in a world with no money, like money didn't exist as a concept, what would be the job you would want to have? What would be your dream job? If you lived in a world there's no money, what would be like your theoretical dream job? Yes, pretty much you're getting the second half of the PowerPoint. Pretty much. You can see it says slide 11 of 16. These PowerPoints are a little bit more thick. Let's say you live in Star Trek universe. You're in the Star Trek universe. Rescue Cat Center, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Video game designer? Ooh, Nova, that'd be sick. Also, hi, how are y'all doing? And hi, Undo Mobile. Carpenter? Nice. What kind of video games would you make? Nova? Always said we would do that if we won the lottery. Yeah, I mean, it would be cool. My brother has a dream. His dream job would be having a cat cafe. Okay, because money wasn't invented yet. But basically, like, society is in a super resort. Like, the reason why I add that little stipulation is because before, when I asked this question, a lot of students would always give answers that were like rich, money, like CEO of a company. Just basically, they were just saying, I want to be rich. So I was trying to, my idea was get more to the core of like what you want to have post scarcity. Okay, that makes sense. If it was Star Trek, it would be on the Enterprise. That's to be fair. Probably city builder or city management sim. Those kind of died out. It's kind of a bummer. Kind of a bummer. Kind of city sim games died out a little bit. I know you have games. Is Factorio considered a city sim, or is it? I know it's factory simulation or whatever. Factorio is not a city sim. Okay. But regardless, thank you all so much for answering the question of the day. For me, I would probably say being a teacher without having to grade. That would be a cool one. Or if I had to choose, streaming would be kind of cool. It'd be cool to do it full time, but that is not easy. It's a long task. I said my buddy who has kind of gotten there, professional mod, that'd be kind of cool too. Be moderator for people. Yeah. Okay. Factorio is its own genre. That can make sense. That makes sense. Well, again, thank you. I appreciate your answer. Today, we're going to. Oh. it for some reason thought shapebz.io was a link. That's why. Okay, dokie. Let's begin. Today, again, we're still kind of in day 2, so we will be still kind of scraping some surfaces, and as some days progress, we'll get into more specific topics or more specific discussions. So there's this idea called competent communication. So if you're a competent communicator, you're able to do all of these things in unison, or you're able to do all these things effectively together. And I'm going to move the chat again. Remember I did that last time. Where did I put it? There we go. So, if you are a competent communicator, you have appropriateness, effectiveness, and you also are doing things ethically. So, appropriateness is where you understand norms and contextual knowledges about the culture that you're in, the environment, or maybe the workspace. For example, some workplaces are more chill and laid back, some are very strict and very demanding on what you have to do or what norms are allowed to happen. Things like context are also very important depending on the culture or where you're from. For example, in Taiwan, elders, generally speaking, have more respect or a higher respect level than people who are not elders. So they have to be given that respect contextually and culturally. Otherwise, they may receive negative, like cultural backlash. Effectiveness is understanding oneself and also understanding the other, understanding you, understanding how you communicate, what your weaknesses and strengths are. I call this meta analysis. So I believe that you can be meta about yourself. And what I mean by that is you can look at yourself and have observations where you're like, okay, if I had, let's say you had a fight with your significant other, you could basically rewind and say, okay, fighting is inevitable. So what happened in that fight and how could we have fought better? You can be meta about it, so to speak. Slide saying that treating others poorly, it wouldn't be like ethical to purposely try to be negative towards others. So I think communication studies has a very big care about ethics because of what you're describing. So the reason why is because if communication scholars do not stress the importance of ethics, if they don't stress the importance of ethics or having like ethical discussions, ethical conversations, things like that, or like trying to do things that are ethical, you can use communication as a tool for, like you said, no. We're playing BattleBit after this with Granny. This is going to be a 20-30 minute little thing. So you can use it for tomfoolery, but you also could use it to do really terrible things. So you can convince people to do atrocious crimes, horrible things. So you can use communication skills to do great things, but also terrible things. That's why we got to care. And that's why ethics matters. Ideally, we want to treat others how we would want to be treated. And I guess you could say that's competent communication because, in theory, if you understand the idea of like communication as a whole, you understand that, people reflect themselves or they will do things that others do. A little safety feature there. Oh, howdy, Grim. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, we have to think about ethics and do things ethically. Otherwise, we can have the next dictator. So I like this slide. So listening is an important process of communication because even if we communicate incredibly well, if we don't listen to the other, we're going to miss out a lot. Yo, what up, Keela? The message was deleted. What are you talking about? So hearing is the process where we are seeing and receiving information. So for example, it's not always hearing, obviously, but if we are going through the listening process, we are able to hopefully receive or see whatever the message may be. Okay. I know this is obvious, but this is like a part of the process that we engage in. Obviously, if we don't have access to certain things, we may not be able to engage in that process. So if I'm deaf, I may not be able to listen to lyrics of music, so I may not be able to hear or receive things, the message. Understanding. So I like this example. I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Sound of Metal. It's a really cool movie. The premise is a rock drummer or a heavy metal drummer loses their hearing and they have to join a deaf community. And what happens in the movie, which is very interesting, is when they first become deaf, they join a deaf community and like try to begin the process of learning like sign language and things like that. The very first meal that they have with others in the community, they're sitting and they know zero sign language. They basically are communicating by writing stuff down to people, and they have zero sign language, zero understanding. The people at the dinner table are signing to each other back and forth, and they're talking. They're having dinner. They're just chatting with each other. The protagonist and us do not have any subtitles on screen while they're signing back and forth to each other because our character doesn't know sign language at this point in the movie, so why should we, theoretically? So we feel isolated just like the character does. What's cool is as the movie progresses, what happens is he goes to school, he learns sign language, he goes to like kindergarten. Then subtitles become unlocked. So subtitles are now added to the film. So when the character's signing, they now are understanding sign language and we are basically understanding with them. So understanding is an important step of listening because we can hear and receive, but if I don't speak the language or understand what the message is, it's not going to mean much or it's not going to come to me. Remembering is where we use strategies like repetition to help us remember things. My guess is most everyone in chat probably had a childhood movie or a movie that you watched when you were a child consistently or over and over again. I had two in particular. I watched The Sandlot a bunch, and I watched The Lion King. I had three, and Toy Story. I watched those three movies like on repeat, basically. And the thing is, you might have had a movie too, or maybe you have a movie that you used to watch over and over again. And the thing is, Robots and Land of the Lost. Ooh. Ooh. I don't think I've ever seen Land of the Lost. Is that kind of like Land Before Time? But you probably had a movie. And they actually did studies and they asked the question, like, why do little kids watch movies over and over again? The study they concluded was because kids learn scripts and they learn repetition through movies. The movie, the entire Jurassic Park franchise, nice. That's a good one, though. That's a good one. The professor glasses. You got it, Tom. PG-13. I see. Interesting. But we got a movie. And the study said because kids learn scripts, the movie's always the same. So the movie always plays out the same way, which means it's not going to change. So the kid learns, oh, okay, when X happens, then Y will occur every single time because the movie happens that way. You can screw with a kid by showing them a deleted scene of a movie they like if they watch it over and over again because it averts the expectations. Interpreting is where we are taking the meaning from the past, the present, and short and long-term understanding, combining them all together. For example, you have a friend who you have known for a long time. Every single time you chat and you say, how are you doing? They say, I'm doing great. Literally every time. They're boring and they just say it over and over again. And here's the thing, though. It's when you, Dom, you're doing the classic falling asleep in the back of class. They do. You say, how are you doing? And they say, I'm okay. Now, you can interpret with that understanding of your friend. What's up, Ronan? At you. Bless you. You can take that long and short term understanding and the past and present understanding of that friend and understand that when they say, I'm okay, they're not okay. Because every single time you've talked, they've always said they're great. In fifth grade mental health. Now, this is communication 100. Com 100. Don't worry. I think we got a handful of slides and we'll be done. Evaluating is how you feel and the credibility. Oh, I think the fish is being hidden. I won't freak out about it too much. We're... Why are you hiding? Ish. There you're hiding. So, evaluating is how you feel about the message, but also the credibility that you have in understanding something. What's up, Bear? Ooh, good luck with your soccer practice, Ronan. Hopefully you do well. So, the thing is how you evaluate the message. I know we're gonna have to drink up. I'm gonna wait for them to finish. How you evaluate the message is the evaluating step or portion of this, right? In terms of how you understand or how you feel about the message, whatever it may be, what could be said. Responding is when you can convey attention to what has been said. You can provide feedback, you can paraphrase, you can clarify the message to the individual that is communicated with you. There's a culture of listening. We can try to focus our attention and enjoy. We'll have 5 hydrates. We can try to focus and remove distractions. For example, I get a little distracted by the chat sometimes. If I was trying to listen better or trying to focus better, I would need to remove some of those distractions. We also want to avoid prejudging and noise. Ronan, Grim can help teach you how to gamble. Here's some points. You can avoid prejudging and noise. So prejudging is when you judge someone initially. Someone, you're about to meet a friend, they tell you, hey, that person's a scumbag. You're going to have a completely different perception on that person when you meet them. Even if when you meet them, they seem great. Noise is anything that distracts us from listening. It can be music, it can be construction outside, it can be thoughts in our head that are maybe distracting. I don't think they are. I don't think they are because they both have different alt accounts. We can also listen to learn and hone our listening skills as well. Like I said, meta-analysis, you can understand yourself on a meta level. You can say, I am not good at listening when I have distractions. So maybe try to limit your distractions. Self-concept is an important idea as well. Social comparison is how we compare ourselves to others. So for example, as a professor, probably, I mean, it doesn't actually technically get recorded. You're immune to distraction. you gotta do gamble, then you gotta say like a number. So how we compare ourselves to others. For example, if I'm a professor, I might try to mimic or become like a professor based on the other professors I've seen and the other people that I've seen act that way. So I might do things like dress in similar ways, purposely wear glasses even though I may not need them. Like, not need them as in like, I need them to drive. I have to. My freaking license says I have to freaking wear them. But what I mean by not need them is like, I don't need them to read these PowerPoints because the words are so big. So that's social comparison. Social judgment is how we interpret reactions. If you act, what's the word? Like if you act a certain way and then someone reacts to you acting that way, that's social judgment, and we may have influence on how we view ourselves or how we act in certain contexts. Self-observation is looking at our own performance and trying to see ourselves or understand how we are doing in certain situations or certain circumstances, while self-identification is the way our self-concept is basically reflected fully. So, for example, I may self-conceptually see myself as a professor now through my self-observation, my social judgment, and my social comparison. I see myself now in that way. I've created my self-concept, so to speak. We have influences on our perception. Physiology is one. So the way you're born can impact your perception. My favorite example of this is a Minecraft example, actually. There was a study that was done where they asked the question, why do shorter people make taller houses in Minecraft, and why do taller people make shorter houses in Minecraft? So, for example, I am 6'4". My wife is about 5 feet tall. So, very big height difference. Theoretically, I would make a smaller house while she would make a taller house. Why? Why? The answer is physiology. It's literally your perception to the wall. Because in Minecraft, your height doesn't change based on your real life height, it's always the same. The ceiling height. The ceiling height. I like it. The question mark. Wee! It's the ceiling height. So normally I would build my ceiling 3 blocks high, while maybe she would build it 4 blocks high or 5. It's because she's shorter, so the ceiling is literally further from her than it is for me. I'm taller, the ceiling is closer for me than it is for her. So perception can literally impact how you see the world, or your physiology, like the way that your height even can change how you perceive or see things. Culture, you have Minecraft on your Xbox now. You lived in the walls of someone else's Minecraft house. Culture, how you see certain things are impacted by your culture. For example, certain things in movies and cinema, when they are made in a country, there are cultural references that may or may not be picked up by people. So it perceptually changes how you see something or how you may or may not understand a certain event or situation. Social and professional roles also change how you view the world too. As a professor, I personally have way more understanding as to why my professors had frustrations with students, because I now also experience those as the professor. But as the student, I was very sympathetic to the student. So it's all the social and the professional role we have change how we view things. Have you been a social worker? Have you had to work in a service industry? Well, you probably have a different perception on people who do the same than if you've never done those things before. I don't know if it's actually 2 block high. I'm saying, like, I'm pretty sure 3 blocks is usually where people were. Ronan's attention span's losing it. So you got like 2 more slides. We have other major influences. I think we have 1 slide. We have other major influences on ourself as well. Peers, the people around us, we're socially comparing to others. Society also has influences to us and things that we do. And one thing that's important is the idea of the self-fulfilling prophecy. So the self-fulfilling prophecy can influence your self-concept, your perception, and can also influence, there's no exam, can influence how you think. So the self-fulfilling prophecy, if you tell yourself, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, you're going to increase your odds of failing just because you're setting yourself up for failure. You're basically going to be like, oh, look, I failed. Look at me, I was right. You're here to learn. You're going to get knowledge, man. I'll make an exam just for you. So if you put all this pressure on you, then you're going to cause a problem where you're probably more likely to fail just because you constantly are like, I'm failing, I'm failing, I'm failing, I'm failing. Now, does that mean you have no chance of success? Of course not. It's just you increase your odds of failing because you were thinking in that way. While if you do the reverse, I'm going to succeed, I'm going to succeed, I'm going to succeed, you may increase your odds of success. So we have major influences on ourself, our concept, our self-concept, and how we see ourselves, such as our peers, society, and also the self-fulfilling prophecy. Boom, boom. We're done. That was day 2 of the COM 100 lecture. A little short, a little sweet, a little, like I said, kind of getting into some concepts. Thank you all. Thank you. We're getting into stuff, so we will be getting more and more into ideas, or more and more into like deeper concepts as we progress. Thank you, Vaunt. I appreciate it. Appreciate you and Robin being here. It's good to see you all.